There are seasons where you look around and it feels like everyone else is already in the chapter that you've been praying for. The marriage, the baby, the career, the next thing, and you're still here waiting. But what if you didn't miss anything? What if you're not behind, but instead in between chapters? Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Felicia, and on my channel, I document what it looks like to surrender an ambitious life to God and let Him lead it. Today, I want to talk about that in-between feeling because I've been in it, but I've been learning how to see it differently, and I wanted to share in case you needed to hear this today. As someone who is ambitious and a go-getter, what makes feeling behind so tricky is that it's rarely across the board. It's not like everything in your life feels stalled. It's usually just that one thing, or maybe two things, but it's just the specific thing that you've been believing God for that just has not happened yet. And the one thing has a way of making you feel like you're missing something, even when you're winning in so many other areas. For me, honestly, it's motherhood. And it's also just stepping into the things that God is now calling me towards with this platform. Those are the areas where some days it just genuinely feels like I should be a lot further than what I am. Like I just want to hurry up and get there quicker. And I have to just actively remind myself to just zoom out, because when you're only staring at just that one thing that hasn't happened yet, it will always feel like you're behind, because the feeling of being behind rarely comes from looking at everything. It almost always comes from staring at that one thing that you just want so bad that hasn't happened yet. And a lot of that feeling, at least I know in my case, comes from a timeline. It's, that timeline that you built in your head maybe years ago of where you would be by a certain age or even by a certain point in your life. And when reality doesn't match that timeline, the default feeling is that you're late. If this is you, leave a heart emoji in the comments so that I know that I'm not just speaking to myself. But I want to ask you something. Whose timeline is it really? Because the Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3:1 that there is a time and there is a season for everything under heaven. So maybe the issue isn't that we're behind. Maybe the issue is that we've been almost measuring ourselves against a schedule that we wrote instead of the one that God has for us. And maybe, just maybe, we're a lot closer than we think that we are. Another way I've been just trying to look at this is like, okay, what if the reason it hasn't happened yet isn't because we're behind? What if it's because we're just still on the last page of this chapter and the next chapter starts so much sooner than we even think that it does? Try to look at it like, you're not stuck. You're just in between the chapters. You're in between the pages. You're on the last page of chapter 5, and the very next page that you turn to is chapter 6. Like it's right there, and you're just not there yet, but it's only a matter of time. And, just try to stay in that space instead of trying to skip ahead, and just try to kind of sit and see, what is God developing in us right now that we need going into that next chapter? Because I look at my own life in this season and I can already see how that applies to me. I've changed my entire diet, gave up sugar, gluten, dairy, and I'm actually okay with it. And I never saw that for myself. I never thought, that I would have the desire to work out like I've been feeling lately. And I'm still not fully there at implementing it. But even me just having that thought, having that desire is just so much different than who I was even just a couple of months ago. And, that's growth that has happened in the in-between. And I think about it like this. What if I had rushed ahead and never had margin to be able to build these habits? If I never had the space to work on my health and to become more disciplined, to actually set a foundation. Now, when that next chapter opens, I have something to build on and I have something to come back to even when life gets full. And I don't look at that as time wasted. That's preparation. So what does it actually look like to stop rushing and be present in the in-between? I believe that it starts with just keeping your eyes on the page that you are actually on, not the next chapter, not what everyone else is doing, but on this page in this season right here. And it doesn't mean that you stop preparing. It just means that you prepare in the ways that you actually have control over. So that looks like letting God lead. That looks like surrendering to Him. That looks like going deeper in your relationship with Him and being a good steward over everything that He's given us, over our bodies, our time, our marriage, our friendships, our family, and just preparing ourselves in those ways so that when that page does turn, we can step into it with confidence and with grace and just, being prepared and being able to feel ready instead of feeling caught off guard. Because the last thing that we want is to rush God and get what we were asking for and then realize that we weren't even actually ready for it. We don't want to, write our own narrative and then now we're just trying to scramble to keep up with it. For me, on the days where, it still feels like I'm behind, I'm really just trying to remind myself that, God is still working and it's our job to just let Him lead. I really feel like there's beauty in this season if we're willing to look for it, like in that in-between season, because who are you becoming right now? What desires are shifting in you? What discipline is being built quietly in the background that that you're going to need for whatever might lie ahead for you? I don't want to look at it as a waiting room, but just more so of like a preparation ground. And if we can shift the way that we see it, even just a little, I think it just changes how we move entirely, how we think, how we operate. So for me, at this point, I'm just riding with God. I'm letting Him take the wheel. I'm not trying to skip ahead, even though I do struggle with it probably more days than I would like to. But I'm just trying to seek Him first and just trust that He is doing something in this in-between season that I just can't fully see yet. And I really do believe that the same is true for you as well. So if you are in a season where it feels like everyone else is already in the chapter that you've been praying for, just consider that maybe you're not behind. Maybe you are just exactly where you need to be. Maybe you are on the last page of this chapter and you don't even know it yet. So keep preparing, keep surrendering, keep letting God develop you exactly where you are. Because when that page turns, you want to be ready to step into it fully. So let me know in the comments, what chapter are you in? What chapter are you believing God for right now? I would love to know so that I can just, partner with you in believing God for whatever it is that you are asking Him for. And if you enjoyed this video, if you want to go deeper on faith and what it looks like to actually walk with God in your everyday life, I have a playlist called Heart to Heart. I'll leave it linked in the description. And if you are not subscribed yet, I would just love for you to walk with me and for me to walk with you on this journey. I post new videos every week, so I would love for you to subscribe if this aligns with you. But as always, thank you so much for just taking your time to sit with me today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.